Hilchos Gezelah v'Aveda, Perek Yud Gimel. Halacha Aleph. Hameitzi Aveda shu chayav l'hachzira. If a person finds a lost object that he's obligated to return, chayav l'hachris aleh, he has to announce it, v'lahidia, and make it known, v'leimar, and he has to say, misha'alba le'min plani, whoever lost this type of article, yavai v'yitin siman v'yito, let him come, give the signs, and take it. Afilu ha'isa shava pruta be'es ha'metzia, even if the metzia that he found was worth a shava pruta, and then v'huzla, and then it depreciated, it went down in value, so does he have to machriz it? Chayiv l'hachriz aleh. He has to announce about it. Ve'evan gavoya ha'isa chus l'Yerushalayim, she'aleh ha'yim machriz, and there was a large stone outside of Yerushalayim on which the announcements would be made. Beis, Ketzad machriz, how does one make an announcement? Imotza mois, if he found money, machriz, he makes an announcement, misha avalei matbea, whoever lost the coin should come. V'chein machriz, misha avalei ksus, similarly, he announces whoever lost a garment, a behema, or a animal, oishtares, or a document, yaveh v'yitin simonim, let him come and bring signs, v'yitoil, and let him take this aveda. We do not worry. Why? Because he mentioned the type of object that was discovered. Because we do not give it back unless he brings very good simonim. Gimel. If the owner of the lost object came and gave simonim, but they were not distinctive simonim, the halacha is ein mahzirin le ad sheyemer simonim muvakim. We do not return it to him unless he gives very distinct marks. V'haramai, a person who is a trickery guy, a deceiver, aval pi she'omer simonim muvakim, even if he brings very good simonim, the halacha is ein mahzirin le. We do not return it to him ad sheyavi edim she'ish alei, unless he brings edim that this article belongs from him. Amru chacham, the chacham said, the Torah says, it shall remain in your possession until your brother asks. You have to examine whether he is a deceiver or not. Gimel, body shayna, in the beginning, anyone who lost a body shayna, in the beginning, anybody who lost the lost article, and would bring simonim, they would return it to them, unless he was known as a deceiver. Once there was a lot of deceivers, there was a lot of trickery, people who trick. So then the Chacham instituted that he has to bring Edim to testify that he is not a deceiver, then you may take it. Hasimonim hamuvakim semchen aleim v'daran alpiem b'chol magim din Torah. When you give distinctive marks, are relied upon and used as the basis of the Beis Din's psak in all matters according to Torah. An object's measure, weight, its number, the place where lost are considered distinctive marks. Vov shnayim zeh nasan simonim ha'aveda v'zeh nasan simonim ha'aveda v'eish nasan ha'acher le'itin leila zeh v'leila zeh. If two people come and they both say, identify the article by its marks in the same manner, so the article should not be given to either of them. Instead, it should remain in the finder's possession until one of them acknowledges his friend's claim or they arrive to a pshara or compromise. If one gives marks and the other one brings edim, witnesses, who gets it? The one who brought witnesses. Zen nasan simanim, v'zen nasan simanim. This one brings simanim. This one brings simanim ve'eit echad. Harei eit echad k'mei shenemin eshene v'yaniach. Now, if both claims identify the article with marks, one brings one witness to support his claim, presence of the witness is not considered anything, and the article should remain in the finder's possession. Zayin. Mata simlo ke'etzbo, v'zeh hevi edi ariga sh'argu loi. Zeh edim shenofel mimenu, v'yitin lidei le'edi anefila. If a person finds a dress or an article of that nature, and there are two people claiming, one brings witnesses who testify that it was woven for him, and one brings witnesses who testify that it fell from him in his possession, it should be given to the one whose witness testified that they saw the chayfetz fall. If one gives it by stating the length and the other identifies it by stating the width, who do you give it to? You give it to the one who stated the length. It's possible for the deceiver to learn the width by watching its owner when wearing it. A person gives simana by stating the length and the width, and the other identifies it by stating its weight. Who do you give it to? You give it to the one who gives the weight. If one gives simana by its length, its width, and the other one was stating the measures of the fringes, it should be given by the one who stated the length and the width. Originally, whoever lost an object would announce its discovery at 3 successive Yom Tevim. On the first Yom Tov, he would say that he was making an announcement for the first time. On the second, he would say it was the second time. On the third, he announced the discovery of the article without mentioning the number of times. Maybe the listener here incorrectly confused the second announcement with the third. After the third Yom Tov, he should wait 7 days and make a fourth announcement. Why? To enable a person who heard to travel home in these 3 days, check his household if there is any articles, and return in 3 days. So you can meet the person when he made the fourth announcement on the 7th day. Once the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, the Chachamim instituted that announcement should be made in the shuls and the Beit Midrashes. Once the increase in the number of men of violence who say all lost objects belong to the king, Chachamim made a takana that it should be announced discreetly to one's neighbors and associates, and that is enough. If an announcement or notification was made, and what happened? The owner didn't come. So the item has to be in his possession until Mashiach comes. If it was stolen or was lost while in his possession, he's chayav for responsibility. If it was beyond his control, pater. Why? Somebody who was watching an Aveda is like a Shemer Sagar, and they show Ezik b'mitzvah, and if they're Mekami mitzvah, say Kolman show Ezik b'mitzvah. Because since he's involved in the mitzvah of guarding it, he is pater if it was, then so it's beyond his control. The finder must pay attention to the lost article and the specs so that it will not become spoiled or ruined over the course of time. Like it says, you shall return it to it. One must see that the article will be in fact be returned intact. If a person found a woolen garment, he should shake it out every 30 days. He should not shake it out with the staff nor with 2 people. He may spread it out on the couch for the benefit alone, but not for the benefit and for his benefit. If guests visit him, he should not spread it out in their presence over, even if it's his own benefit. Maybe it will be stolen. Yud Beis. Matzakli eis mishtamish ben kadesh lo yikorvu. If a person finds wooden utensils, you should use them so they should not rot. Clean the cheshes mishtamish ben bechamin. Copper utensils, you should put hot liquid there or hot substance. Or they should mashchikon, but not through hot substances. Sorry, but you should not expose them to fire because they become worn. Silver utensils should not be used for cold substance. Should only be used for cold substance, but silver utensils should not be used for cold substance, but not. Sorry, silver utensils should be used only for cold substance, but not for hot substance, because they become discolored. If one finds rakes or hashes, one should use them with soft substances, but not with hard ones. Maybe they will deteriorate. If a person finds golden utensils or glass utensils or linen garments, you should not touch them until Mashiach comes. The same halacha that applies to a lost object which was discovered applies to an entrusted object whose owners undertook a long journey. If a person finds scrolls, he should read them every 30 days. If he doesn't know how to read, you should roll them every 30 days. A person should never study from them. Nor should one read a passage and repeat it or translate it. A person should not open the scroll more than 3 columns wide. A person should not read 2 different subjects from the same scroll, lest each pull it himself and rule the scroll. They may learn the same thing. 3 people should not read the same thing, even if it's the same subject. If a person finds tefillin, he may have their value appraised and use them. The scar is that tefillin are commonplace articles possessed by everyone, and the purpose is only for the sake of fulfilling the mitzvah. That's what a person finds a living being that must be fed. So if the found object may be used to earn money, although it eats a cow or a donkey, the finder should care for them 12 months from the day of their discovery. You should hire them out and feed them. He should hire, if the rental he receives from the hire exceeds the cost of the food, the additional amount belongs to the bailam. If a person finds chickens, one should sell the eggs and feed them for 12 months. Afterwards, one should have their value assessed. After 12 months, they're considered belonging to partnership for the fine of the original owner. The arrangement is governed by the halachas applied to one who raises livestock for his friend. A person finds calves or ponies that pasture, he should care for them for 3 months. If he finds beasts, he should feed them for 30 days. If he finds large geese or roosters, he should care for them for 30 days. If he finds younger chickens and any other live being cares more costly than the wage that may be earned, afterwards he should sell them in Bezdin. Produce has begun to rot or similar things occur to lost object, he should be sold in the presence of a Bezdin. And what should be done with the money for the sale? It should be given to the finder. He has permission to give it as a loan. If the money is lost, from Gais. Say he was plundered by an attack force, or let's say it's sank into the sea. Chadu Shalom, he has to pay. Even if he never used it. Since he has permission to use it, it's as if he borrowed it. Which funds may the finder use? The money received for the sale of the lost object. Since he cared for the object, he's given the privilege. If a person finds money, he cannot use it. Therefore, if he lost beyond forces, beyond his control, he's considered like a paid watchman. It says, during the entire time which the finder cares for the lost animal before selling it in Beis Din, he feeds it from his own resources and must be reimbursed by the owner. It appears to me that he's entitled to collect his sum without supporting his claim with an oath. This is when a person finds a lost object, he is not required to take an oath. This is the decree ordained for the benefit of society. For a finder of a lost article were required to take an oath, then he would ignore the lost article and proceed on his way so that he would not be required to take an oath. Even if a person finds a wallet, and the owner of the wallet claimed that there was another wallet tied together with it, and it would be impossible to find the one without the other, Allah is the finder is not required to take a shuvah. Hilchos Gezelah ba'aveda Perek Yud Aleph Hasim lo b'chlal kol avedas achecha Hoisa v'chein asher b'aseh v'chamer. Do not watch your brother's ox or sheep going astray and ignore them. Return them to him. This is what he must do to the donkey and to the garment and to lost articles that your brother will lose and you will find. So why does the Torah include in the general category Chamed? Now, a garment is included in the general category of all lost articles that your brother will lose. So why does the Torah mention Dafka donkey? To teach that it should be returned when there is an identifying mark on his cushion and not on the donkey itself. Alama Pedish, Pedat Ashid Vesel Afser, I feel the Gizas Aser, a gaze, Znab, Sher Alphabi Shudam Wit. Now, why does the Torah mention an ox and a sheep individually? To teach that the shearing of a sheep and even the shearing of the tail of the ox, which is in substantial manner, must be returned. Alama Pedat Simla, Lumen Mimena, Ma Simla Michela Shish to Simonim, Vechaskas Shish to Tevin, Vachayev Lavzer, Afal Koldover Shish to Simonim. Why does the Torah mention the garment individually? To teach the following. A garment is unique that it has marks by which one can be identified, and we presume that the owner will seek its recovery. It thus becomes a paradigm, and the article that has marks and the owners who seek its recovery must be returned. If, however, a lost article no longer has owners who seek it, for they have the spirit of it, belongs to its finders, even if it has marks which can be identified. This is the general rule with regards to the lost articles. Whenever an article does not have a mark, whenever an article does not have a mark by which it can be identified, so let's say you have an article that can't be identified. For example, let's say a nail or a needle. As soon as the owners knew that it was lost, we say that he was miyayish, for he cannot provide a mark by which it can be identified and returned to them. Gimel, when an article has a mark by which it can be identified, a garment or an animal, we presume that the owners have not the spirit of its recovery, for they think that they will be able to identify by its mark and return it to them. Fikach Hametzi Chayv Lachas Elohim King Yedish Nisasha Balak Shema Isam Aaron via the Chesrin Kis Kietz with Arm Elu Sheman Nisasha Harisa Haveda Shomatzen. For this reason, a person who finds it is obligated to announce his discovery unless he knows that the owners have the spirit of his recovery. In other words, he heard them saying how terrible a loss or other things that indicate that the spirit of his return. In such a case, the lost article belongs to his finder. If a person finds an article that has a mark by which it cannot be identified in the sea, in a river, or the like, or in a place where the majority of people are goyim, we assume that the owner is the spirit of its recovery at the time that it fell. Therefore belongs to the finder, even though he has not yet heard that the owner is the spirit of his recovery. When the owner of an article does not know if it's lost, he is not considered to have the spirit of its recovery. If a person dropped the dinner, he doesn't know that it fell. Even though when he finds out he wouldn't be Aish, this is not considered the spirit until he becomes aware of the drop that he dropped it. Now, if the owner is unaware that the article was dropped, even though he is aware of its absence, but thinks maybe I gave it to so-and-so, placed in the cabinet, or I made a mistake in the cheshbon, he's not considered to be miyayish of this article's return. So what are we passing? Yish, lemidash, shmeiyish, or any yish? Right there. If a person sees a friend drop a dinner on the ground without being aware of it and takes the dinner before his friend, she is over on a say and shnei. So I feel it's a dinner. Even if he returns the dinner to his friends after the guy was miyayish, the return of the money is not significant, and it's as if he's giving him a present, and he's considered to have violated the Isurim. Zion, not all adina lefnei yush amanast al. Now, if the finder takes his dinner before the owner was miyayish of his return, b'lacher yush niskaven leaves l'isi, with the intent of returning it, and after the owner was miyayish of its return, he decided to take it on his own. Allah is ever mishum hashat tishavim. He's ever on. You shall certainly return it. Hibdillah v'lo haydir l'baylam l'nadal adina sheida l'baylam shenafa shari se'ayishu l'shbar racher anadal adina around l'arts in ever el mishum le'sucha l'isal. If he waits, it does not notify the owners, but does not take the dinner till the owner becomes aware that it fell, at which time they will despair, as we explained, and then he takes the dinner from the ground. He is ever on l'tuch l'isal. Person sees a seller or any other coin drop for 3 people. Even though it's not worth a pruter for each of them, the halacha is chayiv b'achzer. He has to return it. Shema shutofin. Maybe they're partners. And one now is mechol his friend's part. His part to his friend. So it comes out that the articles were the Shabbat. As a when a person sees a dinner falling from a friend into sand or into dust and escapes the guy's vision, it's as if he fell into the sea, into the river, and it belongs to the finder. Why? Because the guy despairs of its recovery since it does not have an identified mark. Or he said maybe even if you saw the original owner bring a sifter to search for the lost dinner. Now, the owner is considered to have given up. He is searching out of wishful thinking, as would others seekers who search in the dust, although they have not lost anything, in the hope that they will find what someone else has lost. The owner is searching in such a manner, it is not that he has not the spirit of the recovery of the money. If a person finds a sell in the marketplace, now, if a friend finds him and tells him, it's mine, it's new, it comes from this in this country, there's an issue with this in this king, even if he says, my name is written in it, it means nothing, and the fighter is not obligated to return it. As far as that the marks on a coin are not an accepted means of identification, because we can assume that the coin will be used for spending. And we can say it was his, but he spent it and it fell in possession of another person. Since the marks on the coin are not relied upon as means of identification, as soon as a person realizes that a coin has fallen, he despairs of its recovery, therefore it becomes the proper definer. A person finds an article that does not possess a mark by which it can be identified. Next to an article that possesses such a mark, the person has to be machras bo. If the owner of the article, which has a mark by which it can be identified, comes and takes the article, but says that he lost only this article, finder acquires the article lacking the mark by which it can be identified. When a person finds an earthenware keli or any other type of kelim that is made in a standard manner, if it's a new keli, they are acquired by the finder. They are like a dinner, and there is no difference between one dinner and another, and there's no way of identifying them. Now, if the owner cannot identify the earthenware kelim, he does not know whether this jar or his vial is his or belongs to someone else. Now, if the earthenware kelim have been in their owner's possession for an extended period of time and have become familiar to the eye of the finder, he is obligated to announce it. For a Talmud Chacham will come and say, although I cannot identify this utensil with a mark, I can recognize it as my own. The finder is obligated to show it to him. The Talmud Chacham recognizes it and it says that it belongs to him. It should be returned. This is defines the refined Talmud Chacham does not tell falsehood except to promote peace, or with regards to the Masechtas he's studying, the bed that he slept on in the house that he stays. The guy was learning Nida, and he said, what are you learning? I'm learning Mikvahs. Why? Because he doesn't want to be asked Allah Nida. Or let's say he slept in a bed, and he said, I slept in another bed, because he doesn't want to be discovered that he's a caddy. Or you stand in Reuben's home, but he said that he stayed in Shimon so that others will not trouble Reuben. Or he made peace between two people and added and subtracted from the statements each one of them made in order to hide their feelings of closeness. If Edom come and say this guy deviated his words, he testified falsely, there's no obligation to return to him that he claims to have recognized it. Hilchos Gezelah ba'aveda, Perek Tesvav. Kol hameitzi aveda ben sheish bo simin ben she'en bo simin. Whenever a person finds an article that appears to have been intentionally placed down, it's forbidden for him to touch it. This applies whether or not it has a mark by which it can be identified. So let's learn that inside. Anybody who finds a lost object, whether it has a siman or not, if it was placed in a way that it appears to be stationed and was placed down, you're not allowed to touch it. Shema bala nichu sham asher ziru lo. Maybe the owner of the article left it there until he returns. Now, if the finder takes it, he will have ill-treated the life. If the article does not have a mark by which it can be identified, now, if it has a seminar, it says so he has to enable him to be identified and return. It's forbidden for the finder to touch unless it appears that have fallen. Even if the finder is a subject and does not know whether the article was placed lost, should not touch it. And if an article, so he's not allowed to touch it. If the article is not of a mark by which it can be identified, the finder requires it, he's not obligated to return it. Whenever a person takes an article that can be identified with a mark, whether originally it had been placed down or had dropped, whether in a Rishus Hashanah or Rishus Hashanah, is obligated to announce the discovery. So what is meant by an article that appears to have been intentionally placed down? If a person finds a donkey or a cow pasturing on the road during the day, or he finds a utensil burying the garbage heap, so the Allah says he should not touch it. It says the Docham Maderech. However, you found a donkey with a gear overturned, a cow running through vineyards, or a utensil lying openly in a garbage heap, it's considered as a lost article. It should be taken down and discovery announced. If a person sees a donkey or a cow pasturing at an ordinary place for a man at night, so the halacha is considered to have lost. If he saw the animal pasturing at twilight or sat down for 3 consecutive days, considered lost, be taken and discovery announced. A person sees a cow running down a road. If it's facing the city, it's not considered a lost article. Then a person finds a cow pasturing amongst the vineyard, he is obligated to return the animal to its owner because of the damage that will be done by the property. Therefore, if the vineyard belongs to a guy, the animal is not considered lost, and there is no obligation to return it. If he suspects that perhaps the guy will kill the animal when he finds it because it spoiled the vineyard, it's considered a lost article. It should be taken and discovery announced. Hey, matzah part of Rishus Hashanah. Person finds a cow in the Rishus Hashanah. If he found it beyond the Shabbos limits of the city, he is obligated to return it. If he was pasturing in the grass located in a barn, then that is neither a totally secure place nor one from where it will definitely flee. The finder should not touch it. It's not a lost article. If he found a garment or an axe at the side of the wall, you should not touch them. The there's an eitel markers. If you found in the slat, you should take them and announce their discovery. Well, Motzag Gezelah Perkushan bin Champein, Umedadin Achar Hagoda or Achar Hagofpo, a Bishmil Shamsali Hazeliga, Bereshema Balain Nichasham. Person finds a young dove whose wings are tied together and they are hopping behind the stone wall. A wooden fence are laying in the field, you should not touch them since it's possible that the owner left them there. If it's a unique knot, he has to be makras. Also, if he found them located in a set place, He's chayiv to announce the discovery, for the place where the object is discovered can serve as a siman for identification. Zayin matzah ba'ash b'kli mechusa. If a person finds a keli buried in a garbage heap, he's not allowed to touch it. If the garbage dump is not usually cleared away, and its owner has decided to clear it away, he should take the keli and announce his discovery even though it's buried. If he discovered a small utensil, a knife or a spit, he should take them and announce the discovery even though they were buried. If a person finds scattered produce that appears to have been intentionally placed down, he should not touch it. If it appears that it has fallen, he may keep it. If a person finds small sheaves in Rishus Harabim, he may keep them. If he finds cakes or pressed figs, a baker's loaf, or strings of fish, pieces of meat, raw wool, as it comes from the country, bundles of flax or stretches of purple wool that do not have marks, they are his because they do not have siman. Now, if the item has a mark by which it can be identified, the finder should take it and announce the discovery. Although the mark will ultimately be worn off by trampling, it's still considered a valid mark of identification. If however a person finds a bread baked by an ordinary person, wool that has been dyed by a craftsman, jugs or wine, jugs of oil, he's chayiv to announce the discovery, for all of these articles possess a distinctive mark which they can be identified. If, however, this occurs during the season when the storehouses of wine are open, the jugs belong to the finder when the seal is marked. All the jugs will be marked in the same fashion. The jugs will thus resemble loaves of bread coming from a baker, which all possess a standard shape and weight. If a person finds small sheaves in a Rishus Yachid, so what's the din? If it appears that they have fallen, they belong to him. If it appears that they have been intentionally placed there, he has to announce it. The siman. Even though it doesn't have a siman mubak, the place is a siman. If a person finds large sheaves, whether Rishus Yachid or Rishus Harabim, he has to announce it. If a person finds a cake of pressed figs that contain a shard, a loaf of bread that contains a coin, is a piece of meat that is cut in an abnormal fashion, dog nashuch, or fish that has bite on it. Since it has something which is abnormal factor, you have to make achraza. You have to. Because the owners made a certain identification on there. If a person finds scattered fruits in the place of the grain heaps, and you can make so if there was a measure approximately the size of a cab in a square 4x4 or in a larger area, it may be kept by the finder. Why? Because we say that the finder will no longer trouble himself to collect it. If it was less than 4 amas, then we say it was the tension left there. Now, another in Chayv L'Hachris. Chachamim were in doubt with regards to the following situation. If half a cob was left in a square 2 cubits by 2 cubits, 2 cob in a square 8 cubits by 8 cubits, or a cob of 2 or 3 types of produce, dates, sesame seeds, or pomegranates, in a square 4x4. Therefore, at the outset, one should not take the produce if however one thinks he's not obligated to announce his discovery. Person who finds a collection of fruits in a container, empty container, is obligated to announce it. If one finds a container with fruit in front of it, a person can keep the fruit. The kli has to announce. As I say, the kli belongs to one person. And when I say the pear belongs to somebody else, there's no simon. If the container appears that it belongs to the same person, then he has to make an announcement. Kids at house, the back of the container is facing the produce, he may keep the produce. If, however, the front of the container is facing the produce, we suspect that the produce fell from the container. Now, if the front of the container is facing the produce, we suspect that the produce fell from the container. Nevertheless, even in such a situation, if the container has a rim and is totally empty, the finder may keep the produce. For it has fallen from the container, the rim would have caused, if it had fallen from the container, the rim would have caused something to remain. If some fruits were in the container, some were out of the ground, the finder is obligated to announce the discovery of the entire amount. It says, when a person finds berries set out to dry on the road, even if he finds them next to a field of berries, he may keep it. When a berry bush hangs over a road and berries are found underneath, one is permitted to take them, and the Isser of Gezelah doesn't apply. Because once it falls down, it becomes repulsive. However, when it comes to olives and carrots, and then it's a certain. Dates that are blown off a tree by the wind may be taken, for we assume that the owner is for gold ownership. If it's shame, then it's also. The owner of the field takes care not to lose any of his produce. As surrounded the trees of the fence, or put nets under the trees so that the fruit a drop should fall there until it gathers, it's also to take the fruit, for Yeshua is not willing to forgo the ownership. A cat that kills young children, also the kaimei, you're not allowed to keep it. There's no stealing it, there's no it's not considered robbery, and you're not obligated to return it, even though the hide has some worth. Indeed, whoever finds it, acquires it, you should kill it, and the hide belongs to him. Last halacha, for a person, there's a young dove that is found close to the dove coat. If it's found with 50 cubits of the dove coat, it belongs to the owner of the dove coat. If it's found beyond 50, it belongs to whoever finds it. Why? Now, nimsa if it's found 50 amas of the dove coat, it belongs to whoever finds it. As for a dove coat, does not hop more than 50 amas. If the young dove is found between two dove coats, it's granted to the owner of the closer one. And if it's Beth Samech, then you divide it. When there are equal number of doves in each dove coat, if there's more doves in one dove coat than the other, we assume that it came from the majority, even though it's further away.